In the veiled mysteries of ancient Egypt, Anubis emerged from the shadows of prehistory. His birth is shrouded in the deep indigo of myth, often whispered to be the son of Nephthys, the goddess of the night, and Osiris himself, or perhaps the great sun god Ra. He was a deity born of the liminal spaces, the quiet dusk, and the fading twilight, belonging to neither the world of the living nor the world of the dead, but guiding the passage between them. His black jackal head, inspired by the creatures that prowled the desert edge and the burial grounds, was not a symbol of fear, but of profound protection. Black was the color of the rich, fertile silt of the Nile and the resin used in sacred rituals. It represented rebirth rather than decay. He was the opener of the ways, the eternal sentinel of the sacred space where the mortal body transformed into a divine vessel. Anubis's role truly solidified during the great tragedy of Osiris, when the chaotic god Set brutally murdered Osiris and scattered his body across the kingdom. Isis embarked on her desperate search. Anubis was there, a silent, unwavering guardian. He protected Isis during her most vulnerable moments, guiding her through the treacherous crocodile-filled marshes of the delta and helping her evade Set's relentless patrols. He showed a deep compassion that was rare among the ancient gods, and empathy for the sorrow of both goddesses and mortals. This act of quiet, steadfast protection established his deep connection to the family of Osiris and his unwavering commitment to the divine balance and justice that held the stars in their places. When Isis finally gathered the 14 scattered pieces of her husband, it was Anubis who knew the ancient, hidden secrets required to mend the broken god. Alongside Isis and Nephthys, he performed the very first mummification in the history of the world. He meticulously washed, anointed, and wrapped each fragment, using sacred oils, aromatic resins, and thousands of yards of the finest white linen. This was not merely the act of preserving flesh. It was a high divine ritual intended to create an eternal body, a perfected vessel for the soul's eventual resurrection. Anubis taught the Egyptians that the body was a temple, transforming a perishable corpse into a durable sacred dwelling that allowed the the vital spirit, and the soul's personality to eventually return. The most crucial and mysterious part of Anubis's ritual was the opening of the mouth ceremony. After the body was mummified and stood upright in its coffin, a priest, embodying the god Anubis, would use ritualistic tools to touch the mouth, nose, and eyes of the mummy. This act symbolically reanimated the deceased, allowing them to speak, see, smell, and breathe again in the afterlife. It was the vital passage from the silence of the grave to the sound of eternity, from the blindness of death to the sight of the gods. Anubis was the bridge between these realms, ensuring that the soul was not a silent ghost, but a being capable of partaking in the joys and feasts of the field of reeds. With the mummification complete, Anubis assumed his role as the guardian of the necropolis. His jackal form, so familiar to Egyptians who saw these animals scavenging at the edge of the desert, was transformed into a symbol of fierce, divine protection. He stood sentinel over the city of the dead, warding off tomb robbers, malevolent spirits, and any dark force that would dare disturb the sacred rest of the deceased. His presence was a promise of safety. He was the lord of the sacred land, ensuring that the physical remains of the people remained untouched so that their journey through the underworld could proceed without interference. For the newly deceased, Anubis was the first face they would encounter beyond the veil of mortality. He was the psychopomp, the conductor of souls, greeting them at the terrifying threshold of the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. His presence was both solemn and immensely reassuring in a realm filled with shadows. He would lead the glowing, translucent souls through the treacherous and winding paths of the underworld, navigating past its many iron-barred gates and formidable, monstrous guardians. His guidance was absolutely essential, for the Duat was a labyrinth of tests and illusions, and only Anubis knew the true hidden pathways that led to the Hall of Judgment. The culmination of the soul's long journey through the Duat was the Hall of Two Truths, where the final judgment awaited. This was the sacred chamber where Mat, the goddess of truth and balance, presided over the cosmic order. In this vast silent hall, the deceased would face a panel of 42 divine judges, each representing a different sin. The soul had to recite the negative confession, proclaiming their innocence of crimes against humanity and the gods. It was a moment of profound spiritual reckoning, a test of a lifetime's deeds and secret intentions, conducted under the unblinking golden gaze of the gods who held the power to grant eternal life or total destruction. At the center of the hall, the great scales of Mat stood ready. On one pan, Anubis would place the heart of the deceased, the seat of their memory, intellect, and conscience. On the other, he placed the feather of truth, the symbol of the goddess Mat. Anubis did not judge with malice. He meticulously ensured the scales were perfectly balanced, his sharp jackal eyes detecting the slightest tilt. This was the moment of ultimate truth, where a human soul's entire existence was laid bare and measured against the perfect, lightweight standard of cosmic harmony. If the heart was heavy with the weight of misdeeds, the scales would tip, and the soul's journey would end in terror. As Anubis weighed the heart, Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom and the divine scribe, stood ready with his glowing papyrus scroll and red stylus. His duty was to record the outcome of the weighing with absolute precision. Every tremor of the scales, every subtle movement of the soul's conscience, was noted for eternity. Thoth's record was the undeniable proof of the soul's purity or its failure. His presence underscored the unyielding justice of the Egyptian cosmos. The truth was the only currency that mattered in the afterlife, and that no secret, good or bad, could be hidden from the eyes of the gods. Lurking beneath the golden scales was Ammit, the devourer of the dead, a terrifying composite creature with the head of a crocodile, the chest of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus. Her eyes glowed with a primal red hunger, and her jaws remained perpetually agape. If the heart was found to be heavier than the feather, signifying a life lived in chaos and cruelty, Anubis would cast the heart to Ammit. She would devour the impure heart instantly, condemning the soul to the second death, total annihilation. This was the ultimate end. The soul would be erased from the tapestry of time, never to see the sun or the gods again. For those whose hearts were as light as the feather, the gates of the underworld would swing open. Osiris, enthroned as the Lord of the West, would grant them passage to the field of Ridzaru. This was the Egyptian paradise, a mirror of the fertile Nile Valley, but perfected and eternal. There were no floods, no droughts, and no hunger. Only golden harvests and joyful reunions with those who had passed before. Anubis's role as the conductor of souls concluded here, as he opened the final gate to this blissful eternity, ensuring that the righteous reached their reward after the long, dark journey through the Duat. Anubis's dominion over death and the complex process of mummification offered the ancient Egyptians their greatest source of hope, the promise of resurrection. His sacred rituals ensured that the components of the soul, the Ka and the Ba, could always recognize and return to the physical body. He transformed death from a terrifying, chaotic end into a carefully guided, ritualized transition. He was the god who stood in the gap between nothingness and eternity, holding the balance of souls in his discerning hands, proving that with the right guidance, even the common man could become a shining one among the stars. Ultimately, Anubis is not a god of death, but a god of transformation. His dark skin symbolizes the rich, fertile earth that brings forth new life every spring. He is the quiet guide, the steadfast protector of the vulnerable, and the unyielding judge of the wicked. His legend reminds us that even in the face of the great unknown, there is order, dignity, and the promise of a journey. He ensures that every soul, regardless of status, has a fair chance to prove its worth and find its place in the grand, celestial harmony of the universe, under the watchful, glowing eyes of the jackal god. The myth of Anubis, the silent guardian of the scales, is a profound testament to ancient Egypt's sophisticated understanding of morality and the afterlife. It is a story that has survived for millennia, offering a sense of order and justice in the face of life's final mystery. We hope this journey through the shadows of the Duat has enlightened your understanding of the Egyptian spirit. If Anubis's solemn wisdom moved you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more explorations into the ancient world. This entire visual experience was brought to life through the synergy of human history and the creative power of AI. Check the links in the description for our full Egyptian series and art prints. Until our next descent into the tombs of time, may your heart be as light as a feather,